What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zeri from the XMG coming at you today to bring you the second installment in my tier list, Elves. So the first one was humans, and I got overwhelming support on that, so thank you all so very much for that. It is a pretty early, gloomy Tuesday morning before I head into work. I wanted to get this out. Had a great weekend with my daughter's birthday. Thank you to everyone who sent her birthday wishes. I showed them to her, all of them, and she thought she was a YouTube star, so that just made her day. So thank you all for that. So the craziness subsided. Kind of took yesterday just to refocus myself, and I am back at it. Also, popping up on your screen right now, you will see we surpassed 600 subscribers, coming in at 608. I cannot thank you all enough for everything you all do for me. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, it's amazing. I have over 4,000 hours of watch time on my channel. I can't believe this is happening. And it's all because of you out there. So thank you. And with that being said, do not forget about the giveaway. I wish it was more, but from the bottom of my heart, it's just a sincere thank you to everybody out there who watches, who subscribes, who comments on videos. It really just makes this an overwhelming experience for me. And then the second part of that, if you are not part of the XMG family, become part of that XMG family. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on good stuff coming your way. Like the videos, share them, leave me comments, blah-de-blah-de-blah. So before we jump into Elves here, let's just take a look at the tier list and where we were before. So as we did our humans, we found out that we had Darian come in at trash, we had Soleus as a legendary, we had Freezard as a rare, we had Cruel as a rare, we had Robin Bad as a common, we had Eric Shieldbreaker come in as a common. He was the one I was most torn on. So for me, he is a very high common, low uncommon, just simply because of his rousing cry. Then we had Little Baddie, we had in the rare, and then we had Snorri come in as an uncommon. So where are these elves going to rank? Let's get into it by jumping into II-Elves. Okay, so we got II-Elves. She is a fighter, mage, traveler, and a leader. She is the second part to the Soleus II-Elves combination. She is a very, very good character with some very cool things she brings to the table. Now, some things that I really like about II-Elves is on her second ability here, Veil of Silence, she inflicts a ability block for 2 turns. That is just awesome. It can shut down a tank. It can shut down the opposing Soleus from healing up the team. Just really, really good move. Another very, very good thing about her is that she applies a damage increase to all allies for 2 turns, which is extremely useful when you pair her with like an Ember or a Freezard. Just cranks up the damage just a little bit more to help you blast through the enemies. That is awesome. But where she really shines is in her passive ability, which is her Night Priestess ability. She removes 1 debuff from herself and Soleus, so she's dispelling. And then she removes 1 buff from a random enemy. If Soleus is on the battlefield, 2 buffs are removed. So you're dispelling yourself and Soleus, and then you're removing 2 buffs when they're paired together from the opposing team. Can absolutely be devastating. This was reworked recently. It used to be before she went, now it's after she went, and that did make a little bit of a difference, but not end all be all by any stretch of the imagination. Also, at gear 11, 7-star, max level 80, she has a pretty good health and shield combination. She has right around 44,000 to start, so that's really good, especially for a damage dealer and a mage. That's a pretty good place to start. Her magic damage is at 3,300, almost 3,400 to start, so that is a plus. Some things that I really don't care about regarding II-Elves is She can be a plug-and-play character because of the Dispel, but she just... You don't put her with Soleus, and you just feel like she's missing something. So, like, on an elf team, by herself, she is a really good damage dealer, and she has a lead, but it just seems like she's missing something. And then, you know, her leadership, in my mind, is just blah. And she's the only real elf leadership we have in the game, and it's really, really not that good. The accuracy of all allied elves are increased by 20%. Upon landing a critical hit, allied elves recover 10% of their maximum health, and upon landing a fatal blow, allied elves recover 25% of their max health. Okay, I mean, it's not the worst lead in the game, but it's definitely not the best. And you gotta think, the elves have 2 healers as it is. So, giving them more heals when you have 2 options to choose from, even though they're really not the best in the world, I wish it ramped up the damage, or, you know, gave them more shield or something. It just is a blah synergy or leadership. So let's see where II-Elves comes in. So for me, II-Elves is a rare. She's definitely a great character. She is not legendary. Simply for the fact of, if she is not with Soleus, I feel she's missing something. But she is an extremely good character. You want to get her. You want to get her geared. And you want to use her. I mean, she brings a lot of things to the table. Dispelling, buff removal, you know, ability block, damage increase. But what's holding her back from being a legendary is you don't use her with Soleus and she's a rare. You use her with Soleus, she's a legendary. But we're just grading her, not her synergy. So she is a rare character. Alright, next up on the list we have Kelrin. He is an elf and a defender. And Kelrin can taunt on his first turn using his dual challenge, and he gains a tenacity increase, and he heals himself. He removes 2 buffs. Really good move for a tank. Really, really like that. You know, as a defender, being able to dispel your own buffs, recover health, giving yourself a tenacity increase while taunting is actually really, really good taunting mechanism. He has a pretty good base speed at level 80, gear 11, 7 stars of 138. That is a really good base speed for a tank. Defender, you don't need to really add much more speed to him. So all in all, that isn't that bad. You know, his combined health and shield is pretty good, coming in right around 5,600, right in that range. So you can make him extremely survivable and tanky. But what I don't like about this guy at all is, first off, his passive ability. Increases magical armor by 25%, and an additional 5% for each living elf in the party. Okay, I mean, having more magical armor is really good, so you don't get nuked by the, you know, the Freezards, the Embers, the II-Elves, but you still get nuked. This guy just is a bad passive. He also has a weird AoE with a Geel throw, where he deals physical damage and then can inflict an armor decrease for 2 turns. Now that armor decrease is awesome, but his potency is 15%. We're only having to do 1 of them, which is really good if you put the scrolls into this guy to get it to level 6. But at the same time, at 15%, you're going to lose a lot in that roll, and having the ability to place armor decrease is awesome. Only having a 15% potency sucks. And his basic ability deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy. If the target is the lowest health in the party, this attack is guaranteed to be a critical hit. It brings nothing to the table because most of the time you're stuck behind a tank and he's going to be the slowest guy to go. You're more worried about taunting. And even if you do crit, he has a physical damage unruined at 2493. You're not going to do a whole hell of a lot anyways. Your critical chance on this character to start is 27%, so that's not terrible, but you're not looking to do that. I wish his basic ability recovered health or restored shield if it was a critical hit. Something cool like that would definitely benefit him more. So where does Kelrin come in on my list? He's trash to me. The only reason I put any sort of ability into Kelrin is because he's needed to unlock Ember. And it kills me that I couldn't get Ember to 7 stars. I'm going to have to put a little bit more into him to get that, and it just kills me. You look at the order side of things and how many good tanks there are out there. He's just not one of them at all. If he had more potency and could spread that armor decrease more, that would be huge. If he restored some more of his health maybe, or his shield on a basic, things like that, it could bump him up, but Kelrin's a trash. And it sucks we gotta gear him. Next up on the list, we have Aurelia. She is an elf and a healer. Now, Aurelia does some really good things. So let's take a look at what she does. Her first move is she deals 190% of magical damage and inflicts a potency decrease for 2 turns. That can be big. Potency decrease can be big, especially on somebody like a Tromgar or things of that nature. And it lasts for 3 turns. That's pretty good. She has a mass heal based off her magical damage. So she's not just healing a single target, she heals all allies. Then she kind of has her full heal in the Star Orb, where she heals you off 50% of the damage dealt. And her passive ability is that, she gets magical damage and then increase for each living elf in the party. Her kit is built very well, so her plus for me is just her kit. Her all-around kit syncs with what she wants to do. But there's some drawbacks when it comes to Aurelia. Aurelia has a starting potency of 13. Terrible. To get that potency to stick, we gotta put potency on her in some capacity for that to really stick. Now, it only has to go through the 1 potency check, maxed out, but still, at 13, not good. Base speed is a 126. Terrible. So you're going to sink, instead of hopefully looking for some of those potency runes to get that potency decrease to stick, you're going to be worried about speed because you want your healers to go fast. Her magical damage to start is 2707, so it's not terrible. But everything is based off her magic damage, so you're already looking at some tough choices. We know we need potency, we know we need speed, we know we need magic damage. Then, her health and shield combined is like 25,000. No, I'm sorry, 35,000, so it's bad. So then you gotta worry about survivability with this character as well. So we got some things here that just bring her down. Her kit is built so well for a healer. The way it plays off each other, the way she is meant to work isn't the way she works, because you can kill her instantly. Freezard absolutely destroys her with his AoEs. So half the time she's healing herself with her Star Orb. So it's just rough. So let's see where Aurelia ranks for me. Now, Aurelia comes in at a common. Aurelia is a common character because her kit is very good. If it worked the way I think the devs wanted it to work. But also her mass heal. She is not just a single... If she was a single target healer, she would be trash. But since the fact that she can bring some survivability to your whole clan or party makes her a common character. Next up on the list, we have Thalia. She is a fighter, mage, and tactician. Thalia, to me, was going to be awesome. And you go back and watch some of my older videos, they made a mistake on the test server where her critical chance was just insane, and she could have been meta if they kept that way. But they decreased it. It wasn't the way it was meant to be. So let's see what I like about her now, and we'll go from there. So Thalia has a couple cool things that I really, really like. Her passive ability increases her magical damage by 20%. Now, if since Geel is an ally, you get 20% more magic damage. So, and if Aurelia is on the squad, you get another 20. So if you put her with the 2 healers, you get an extra 60% magic damage. That's huge, but it doesn't work. So that's a plus and a minus. Her neurotoxin is amazing. It deals 230% of magic damage to all enemies and inflicts a damage decrease for 2 turns and inflicts slow on goblins for 2 turns. Now, if you're running a Soleus meta and you're having a hard time going against a General Murdoch team because they can ramp up the speed, and once they get going, if you don't kill them fast enough, it's over. But putting her in there with a Nightiel and a Cruel, she counts as the 3rd mage. She has some real viability versus goblins with this move. Real big viability. So, you know, the last move you saw, she's going to need potency. Well, the cool thing is she starts with 54% potency, so that is awesome. She definitely has the potency to build off to make this a viable move. So, and it's only going to have to go through 1 potency tenacity check. So you put up more potency on her, definitely makes it viable. Now, some things I don't really care for. Well, I guess there's one more thing I really like. Is for a mage, health and shield combination starts at 43,800-ish. Definitely really good. And her magical damage is already almost 3,200 to start. So that's a good place to start. Some things that I really just don't care about with her kit is her crit damage. Or a critical chance, I'm sorry. Her critical chance is now 18.2%. Before, it was ungodly high at like 74%. But it's just 18% is off. Another thing is her speed is only 144 to start. So again, just like Aurelia, you're stuck in between. What do I choose? Do I choose damage? Do I choose critical chance? We got to put potency on her. And every character you have to make these decisions. But when it comes to Failure, it really, really holds her back. You know, there's some characters out there like Ember where you could go speed, damage, critical chance, potency. And either way you go, you're really not hindering the other one. You are with her, and it shows. So where do I have Failure for me? She comes in as a common character. She is much like Eric Shieldbreaker for me, where she is very high common, very low uncommon. Now she can have a lot of plug and play viability for the arena if you're fighting a goblin team. But after that, with her low critical chance, her low speed, there's definitely better mages to put into your team. And the fact that the elves are such a broken faction, she doesn't really do much for them either. So all in all, she is a very high common, very low uncommon for me. Okay, next up we have Wonder Lua. And she was nerfed, as we all know, and I will tell you right now, if she was not nerfed, she would have probably been a legendary, because her damage was just effing insane. But she got nerfed, so let's take a look at her now. Some things I really, really like about Wonder Lua is she has a base speed of 174. Awesome. Health and shield combined, 43,000. Oh, I'm sorry, she's a fighter, ranger, bounty hunter also. Her physical damage to start is at 3,200. Critical chance, 31.8. Almost 32. So her stat line is really, really good. She has a really good move in Cloak of Shadows that she gains invisibility and applies it to all allied healers, tacticians, and fighters for 2 turns. Just another way to increase survivability for your team. And then in her second ability, she's guaranteed to land a critical hit while invisible. So that's where it all plays together. So she's got a good kit. She has very, very good stats to start. So what are some of the things that I don't really care for about her? To start, a lot of her moves are based off something else. So let's look at her basic ability. Deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy. If the target has more health than Wonder Lua, this deals 125%. And this stack deals 50% more critical damage. So to get the full potential of this character, in my mind, you got to gear her up. You got to get her maxed. You have to really do all of her abilities, and then you got to pay a lot of attention. She's not someone you just kind of put on auto and let it run. Then you look at her second ability. You know, she deals 300% of physical damage to an enemy. Half the damage from this attack penetrates shields. Awesome. And then guaranteed to deal a crit while invisible. So she needs to be invisible to maximize that move. Cloak of Shadows is pretty self-explanatory. And then here, passive ability increases physical damage by 20% and additionally for 7% for each living demon in the enemy's party. I don't like the fact that you have to fight demons to max out her passive ability. Demons aren't run very much. Now, that could change. I mean, there are some very viable demon comps out there, but it just really kind of makes her more of a plug and play in that aspect. So, to maximize her move kit, we always need something else. That's kind of a drawback for me. But she has some really, really good positives in the fact that her stats are excellent to start. She's very, very fast. Like, I don't even know if I talked about her speed. Her speed is at 174 base. As you can see here, I had her with nothing but uncommon runes on. With, you know, speed here. And some speed sprinkled in. And I got her over 211. I got her at 211 speed, so definitely huge plus for her stats. So let's see where Wonder Lua comes in for me. Wonder Lua is a obvious uncommon in my mind. And you might say, well, she can do crazy damage, and she does. She does. But the fact of the matter for me is her stats are excellent. Her move kit always needs something else to be at its max potential. And you have to really, really put a lot into this character to make her usable. She's not at the rare status for me. She's a very, very strong uncommon. Next up we have Sharpe. Sharpe is a fighter warrior and a bounty hunter. Sharpe is like the starter character we all receive. So let's kind of get into Sharpe and talk about some things I like and some things I don't. Now, what I really like about Sharpe is his critical thinking, where he gains critical chance increase and applies it to all allies for 2 turns. And then he gains a crit damage increase for 2 turns. So, you know, giving the team critical chance increase. And I'm working on a video with some synergies, but there's a lot of people out there who need critical chance to do something to make their move more beneficial and to reach its full potential, and he is increasing that for everybody. The other thing I really, really like about him is his wombo combo. He attacks the enemy 3 times. This is really, really good in when you're fighting the dragon, when he puts up his scale move there where you got to get it down to do more damage. He can come in 3 times, take it down to a 2 right off the bat. So I do really, really like that about him. But some of the things that I really don't care for about Sharpe is that he has a base speed of 119. 119 is just frankly shitty. It's terrible. His health and shield combination is at 37,000, so he's extremely squishy. Also, his critical chance is at 23.8%, so 24% chance to start. But his passive ability is freaking awesome. Increases his critical chance by 30%. So really, really good passive ability. Really like the way that plays into his move kit. So there's not much to say about Sharpe. He is a starter character who can bring some different things to the team. You know, with a critical chance increase, his passive fits really well. He can do the multiple hits and help out in the raid, and he is a good, cheap way to get around that. So where am I going to rank Sharpe? Sharpe's coming in as a common. I think he could be the definition of a common character. Nothing real special. Has some good things that could be used in certain areas. But he isn't the first character you're like, I gotta get this guy gear 11. Holy shit, he's gonna be amazing. That's not him. But if you're struggling in a certain area, he can help you. And he is the quintessential common character. You gear him up after you've got through all your important stuff, and you're not going to regret it, but you're not going to rush to do it right away. And finally on the list, we have Geel, the second elf healer. And some things you need to know about Geel is that he is a hot healer, which is a heal over time. He can inflict burning on his basic, not too bad. He applies regeneration to 3 allies with the lowest health for 2 turns, so he has 2-turn regeneration there. And then he heals the target ally by 500% of his magic damage, and then applies regeneration for 4 turns. And then his passive ability is that he increases his magic damage by 10% for each stack of regeneration on all allies. Okay, his move kit sounds really, really good, but it's a steaming pile of shit. I really don't like the way he plays out. I've been messing around with him with a Renara, and you can get his magic damage up pretty good, but he still hits pretty weak. It ties into things I don't like, so let's get into that, I guess. His base speed is 134. Horrendous. 36,000 health and shield combined. Extremely squishy. Magic damage, under 2,700 to start. His potency is at 50%, which is really, really good. I forgot to mention that. But in his magic armor, or magic damage, is at under 2,700. So he has a lot of things that you need to do to him to really make him good. We want him to go fast. We got to get him survivable. We sprinkle in some potency, but he's already at 50%, so if you have to sacrifice something, that's real good. And then his damage is really, really bad, so his big heal here on his third ability, to restore 500% of his magic damage, if you don't have a lot of damage on him, it doesn't heal that much. And then regeneration, I just don't like hot heals, I just don't like the way they work. Now, if his second ability here, instead of applying regeneration, healed and applied the regeneration, that would make him way, way better. But it doesn't. And I just struggle with this guy to find a home for him, to find what he's good at. And I just can't do it. You know, he with a Renara, he does get better, but there's so many other options you could use in his slot than a Renara. Or than him in that team to make it better. And he just is a waste of a character spot. So, as you can probably tell, we have Geel coming in as trash. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe somebody's finding this amazing comp that he works for, but his kit sounds like it's going to be good. And again, it's not. He is hampered by his stats being way too low as compared to some of the other people in this game. And if I'm building an elf team and I could access them all, he is definitely taking a back seat. The only reason Kelrin's in there is because he's the only freaking tank they have. But I'd much rather have Aurelia in there, Aurelia, Sharpe, Wonderlua, II-Elves, and Kelrin. He falls off the list. So that is why he is definitely a trash for me. So, everybody out there, boys and girls, there is my elf faction. Elves are extremely lacking. They got some really good base, but they need a good tank for the elf faction, in my opinion, that does more than Kelrin does. They need a more powerful healer. And maybe Aurelia could be that healer if the tank was somewhat decent. Wonderlua is a really good character. II-Elves is amazing. And Aurelia has a lot of potential. But the tank and the 2 healers in this category just kind of blow. So they are definitely an incomplete faction, and it stinks that you have to gear them for Ember, because she is so good. And I kind of like when the Murdoch event came out, everybody was upset about demons. Demons got a lot better. And I'd much rather have a very solid demon team than have elves solid. So, all in all, they got some work to do. But there is potential. There is a lot of potential. But if you remove II-Elves from that team, from the elf faction, they would just be really close to the bottom faction in this game, for sure. So, coming up next, we have pandas. Pandas will be out next. We can go over that. But as always, and again, as always, if you're not part of the XMG family, become part of the family. Click that subscribe button. Shooting for the goal of 650 subs. We're going to get there soon. I love you all. Be safe with all the craziness going on in the world. Use your head. Maybe it'll give us more time to play games. Who knows? But in all seriousness, please be healthy. Listen to what they're saying. Don't listen to all the crap that's floating around out there. Find out for yourself. I gotta get to work. Love you all. I'm out.